Yeah, okay, cool. So, other than that, let's see what I want to talk about. Okay, so it's recording now. Um, Welcome to week 12. Again, I just said that a little bit, but um, what I want to say is I put an announcement on the Net Academy, so kind of like last week announcement, going over what you have left to do in this class, or finish the module tests, finish the assignments. I say this like every week. If you finish those things, I'll give you the free voucher to take the exam, and it's only a 40-minute exam. So if you are trying to take the exam, it's not like very intrusive, I believe. And I believe we would probably be able to get you a retake if you desired it. I don't really know what the answer is to that yet. I'll have to send them a message. But if you once you finish the class, I'll probably send you an email saying, here's the voucher. To take the exam, and you have one more week on after May 2nd, which is the next Monday. I'm going to be done grading. But more importantly, I don't think many people will finish the class. I've been noticing. But if you do, if take that as a challenge, I hope. But if you're not finishing the class and can't take the and won't be taking the exam, I hope this class gave you a good foundation of computer science. What I wanted for you guys was more so a foundation, so that if you do go further in computer science, you have, a bit something to build off of. And computer science is kind of tough to learn in the beginning. I think that's one of the people, what a lot of people say about this major is it's a tough learning curve in the beginning. Maybe the first 2 years is a little bit tough, but then once you get to like years 3 and 4 computer science, I'm talking about if you go to a college, like like one of those college academia settings where there's like 2 years, then the next 2 years, 4-year school programs, bachelor degree. But in the first 2 years, they usually say it's a little bit tough. Sometimes you're learning your way around things, but then in the last 2 years, usually that's when things start clicking. You'll start doing more advanced things, and you'll understand the things you're doing way more. But the thing I said last week, as I'll say again, is when you look back at this class, every time you go further and further, you should look back at the old class and say, wow, that was easy. And sometimes you don't have that, thing with other classes. Like sometimes when I took calculus, right? When I look back at calculus, I didn't go, oh man, that was so easy. I can't believe I struggled so much. Sometimes I'm like, no, that was actually kind of hard. Or when I took chemistry class, I was like, no, that was tough. But for me, whenever I look back into old computer science classes, I'd be like, that was not as bad as I thought it was. Um, because it's kind of like that learning curve where it's like once you start learning things, you'll be like, oh, that was just the basic stuff. So I hope that you guys take the stuff that I taught you over these past 12 weeks and can just apply it. If you don't take the exam, that's perfectly fine. The exam is just a way to show that you did this and that you know Python, entry level Python. But it's more important that you know what you're doing, so that, let's say someone asks you a job interview and they're like, hey, do you know Python? You're like, yeah, I took this Python entry exam. I did a really good job. I learned it. And if you didn't take the Python certification entry exam, you say, yeah, I took a class on it and I learned it. This is what I learned. So I hope that at some point you can, if someone ever asks you, you can just still have the same answer. Yes, I learned it. I took a class. Or yes, I learned it. I took an exam. So don't think about the exam too much as dictating your knowledge of Python. That's not usually even how the real computer science world works. If you want to do this journey at all, probably after 2 years, this entry level exam won't mean anything, because when you start getting more advanced in computer science, they're going to be like, oh, that's cool, you did that, but I can tell you no more. So this is kind of just like a good way to show off your work for right now. But in terms of like later down the line, it's not so much about this exam. You're going to have more and more opportunities to get further advanced. Um, but other than that, this class, I don't really have much to go over on this class today. It's just kind of a review day. I was going to do some of the review questions, but I don't know if I'm still kind of just not feeling like I should, just because if you are finishing this class, I would want you to probably take that module test review yourself, without my guidance at all, so that you are prepared for that entry level exam. So I think I might just let it, and you have unlimited attempts, but I just want to make sure that you guys can take it yourself without me guiding it along. Unless you have a specific question, then feel free to shoot me an email, ask me how it's done, whatever, however. But I want you guys to kind of do it yourself, because that would be the best way to prepare yourself for the certification exam, would just be doing that. And again, the exam is only 40 minutes and it's online. It's almost, I think, very similar to what the NetAcad gives you. I haven't actually ever taken the exam, but it's very similar. And it's only 45 minutes, so not as bad or as long. Other than that, I think this class will probably be short anyway, too. I don't see myself going fully into depth on everything. But what I will be doing is I want to share my screen with you guys. Let's go desktop 1. So this is the homeworks that I have up right now. I don't know if you guys have any questions. This is going to be a very short class. This class is solely for review. What? I haven't taken it. I see. Yeah, I have not taken this Python certification entry exam. I know, as silly as that may sound, right? Again, this is kind of like that thing where I was trying to tell you, is that the certification entry exam isn't as important, but it is good to have. But I think the exam is modeled off of NetAcad. So if you're able to do NetAcad, you should be able to take the exam, or the NetAcad is modeled after the exam. So hopefully that is supposed to be very similar to that. But yeah, other than that, we can do some quick review stuff. Does anyone have any questions about anything? Anything is open for questions as well. If you want to ask about computer science journey, computer science questions, regardless, whatever you feel is right for you guys. I'll leave it up for you guys right now for a little bit of time. I can't speak English right now. Any questions? You can put it in chat so it makes your life easier, or questions if you guys, like, I know in college or in the classes I like TA for at UCSD, I know we usually at the last class, we always like to, well, not every class does this, but I'm in like usually the beginner level courses I'm teaching. So for those ones, we usually give you guys like a last like AMA where you can ask us anything. And usually students have great questions about, like, research, their career paths, different ideas of computer science, or just genuinely any question you may have about computer science, your journey, whatever it may be. And I usually find a lot of people have a lot of fun doing that. So I think that was kind of the whole purpose of this class, would be kind of saying, what do you want to ask? Just keep having the foot and mouth moments. I know, right? My mouth just doesn't stop moving, and I just don't stop talking. And words just keep coming out. Oh, Mari, you have a question. Great.
I do. One of the things that I had an issue with are the bitwise operators. Can you go over that a little bit?
For sure. Yeah, I'd love to. Okay, so bitwise operators. Let me pull up. Where have I put my things? Did I close my tab? I guess I closed one of my tabs out. Okay, I'm gonna go back to NetAcad and go over there. So bitwise operators, this is something that's I think is pretty well, okay, that we go over in the class. This is kind of like a course related item, but if I'm being honest, bitwise operators, not my favorite thing in the world. It's not very used also. That's the funny part about it. But let me go and pull this up so I can kind of go over it again. But yeah, bitwise operator is not my favorite thing at all, because it's not very generally used. Because maybe if you're in engineering, you might have a use for it, but I would love to actually find out if anyone would ever, like, that's a good research question for myself and you guys, is where does someone use a bitwise operator when coding? Because you can just manually make that change. Logical and bit operations in Python. Okay, this is chapter 3. So let me go and pull this over to here. Sweet. Okay, perfect. So here we have our bitwise operator. Oh, this is computer logic. Oops. This stuff I get. And ors, nots, those are incredibly useful. Very useful, actually. The most useful thing you can do. Now the question is, when do they go over bitwise operators? Bitwise operators right here. Okay. So we have these bitwise operators, which is the bitwise conjunction, the bar bitwise disjunction, and the bitwise negation, and then the exclusive XOR. So these kind of run similar to exactly how the AND works, or the ORs, or the NOTs. I mean, I guess these are bitwise. Are these the bitwise operators you were talking about, or were you talking about like more of the right arrow keys, Mario? Just wondering.
Uh, yeah, I think both. I think the other one is the one that gave me more problems, but even this one, I mean, if we have the ands, when do you use this compared to the regular conjunction operators?
So that's a great question. So when would be the difference, right? So in the same way, there is no real difference of when you use it. You can use and, or you can use these ampersands. They have the same meanings, but in terms of like logic, the whole purpose of it is you can use it for, again, for actually using bits. If you were to compare bits, this would be more of if you're doing computer engineering. This would be useful for these type of things, actually, where it's one means turn on, right? That's usually very common, is one means on, zero means off. This is like kind of, I guess if any of you guys want computer engineering, I took one class in my life on it. It's not fun, but it was, well, it's not fun for me, but fun for others. But if you're doing like sensors, like I created a game, I remember one time where it was like a clicking game, and that was like, I did that for a competition. It was kind of lame, but what happens is whenever something happens, whether it's an action of pushing down a button, that means it's one. Whether you turn a sensor, like a parking sensor, like a car garage, if you're in there and it turns green, like how some advanced parking structures are, then you might have like that would be signified as a one. Zero would mean off. True and false, right? True is one, false is zero. They have that's binary in a nutshell. Is that one is true, one is on, zero is false, zero is off. Kind of like, just that's like a good value of it. But in terms of like using it for operators like this, A and B, this is like saying, if I have, these are just truth tables, and these truth tables are very important for hopefully understanding what's going on. So if I take one operator A and one operator B, right? If I combine the two of them, I'm gonna get zero, because A is zero, B is zero, so that means it's off. If one is false and one is true, what's gonna happen? False. The whole point of A, I guess, a good way of thinking about it is that I would just put it into English terms of, don't try to understand it for specific situations, but try to understand it for what it does. So in and means both arguments. In order for the condition to be true, means that both statements have to be true. This is good for cases when I have multiple conditions that I need to be satisfied as true. So let's say we're renting a car, right? In order to be renting a car, you need to have a driver's license and you need to be over the age of 25. I think that's the general rule with renting a car. So driver's license, age 25. If I make those two an or statement, right? Or statement is going to be, if one of them is true, then the statement is true. Then the whole statement is satisfied. So if this case, if I said you are age 25 or you have a license, that would be bad, right? We don't want that to be an or statement. And let's just pretend we're making a rental car website. If we made our sentence a website, and this is genuinely how they would actually test it, it would just be, hey, is the user, they gave me their data, are they above the age of 25 and do they have a license? If it's an or statement, the rental car is going to have a lot of legal liabilities, because they'll accept people who could be 16 years old, but they have a driver's license, which is very bad. Or they could accept people who are above 25 and don't have a driver's license, which is even worse, because they're not even allowed to drive and you're giving them a car. But if we make it A and B, then in this case, we have the 0, 0, 1, 1 meaning true. It would be, okay, we'll take those two bits. Let's say we signify the bits as 1 and 1. In our case, I don't like signifying as 1 and 1. So maybe that's what gave you troubles, Mario. I would say this is kind of dealing with the binary bits of it, but just think of it as true and false. Think of it as own statements. But in this case, like, A and B, the best case would be if it's true and true, meaning they are 25 and they have a license, then we allow them to have that ability to rent a car. We don't want them to have these two abilities. And then exclusive or, this is just another way of saying, in this case, this is, it's very rarely used exclusive or in coding, I would say in computer science. There's multiple ways, not many people use it, but it's good to know. Engineers, I believe, use it a decent amount, but exclusive or, XOR means exclusive or. This just means one or the other. So you don't want it to be both false or both true. If anyone wants to think of a good scenario where you could use one true and one false, but you don't want either to be false, false, and true, true, I can't completely think of a situation on the dot. There's a lot of things we teach you guys, but there isn't really a great scenario to give example of. And then the bitwise operation negation, this tilde, they use it in different languages, has different signs, but negation is incredibly important because if I want to say, let's say it's easier for a coder to say, don't let them in if they're under 25, right? So in that case, they can just put a negation over that if statement. And then let's go to the other one, the logical and bit operations of, these are just nots, and equals. These are things where, this is where it starts going into the binary, right? We start comparing the actual binary bits. In this case, you compare each bit one by one, which again, not a fun thing to do, right? So if we had I and J and we did an and like this one, like they do an and of I and J, it's going to be 1 and 0. And nope, that's going to be 0 because we said true and false equals false. True and true is true. True and true is true. True and true is true. 1 and 0 is false, 0. So it's going to be 0, 1, 1, 0 for this first 4. And then if you do I or J, it's going to be 1, 1, 1, 1 because all these are ones. This is going to be true. XOR, you're going to have a 1 for this one because 1 and 0. Nothing here, nothing, 0, 0 because they both match. And then a 1 here for true because 1 and 0 don't match. So there's a bunch of things you can do with it. It's just kind of moving. It's just comparing the 1 and 0. And that's all it is about, is comparing a 1 and 0. And if I can find that one more thing about right shift, left and binary right shift. So this one is, in this case, it was only used for using it as exponentials, I believe. If I'm crazy, oh, this one is actually moving over the bit. Yeah, so this one, 17 to the 1 is 17 to the power of 2 to the power of 1. Floor divided by, oh, this is dividing it, my bad. Right shift means you divide it by 2 to the power of 1. And then if you go left shift, this means 2 to the power of 2, you multiply it by. That one's kind of easy to just, again, the reason why this isn't used is because if you want to multiply something by 2 to the power of 2, why don't you just say, instead of saying var left, why don't I just say, var, let's say power equals 17 times 2 times 2, right? Or there's a math.pow function that you guys have for power. I don't think we went over that. I think that's the next idea. Oops, let's put in var power. And we're going to get the same answer, 68. And then if I could do that for var d, I don't know, equals var divided by 2 times 1, right? Because this is to 1, this is to 2. So in this case, I hope this just kind of gives you an idea of this is all it does. It's not very, it's just something that's like shorthanded way of doing it. I believe other languages actually use it as a different operator. It will actually shift the bits over, which is something that we don't like, which is not something Python teaches you, I believe, or does, which is why I always get so confused because I'm like, why do you guys have different values than other languages? But, and then here's this total thing. This is exponential. Oh yeah, why was I even using this? I could have just done that to 2 to the 2. That would have done the same exact thing. If I can type a capital D. Yep, received. So you can just use that. And then. So same exact function, but shorthanded version of it. And then it reprinted it out again. So Does that answer your question, Mario, or was anything I missed? I feel like I kind of gave a brief summary.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like you mentioned, it was trying to understand why, and the purpose, but it sounds more like you mentioned, engineering type of work and working with binaries.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. It works good with binary, but like it has like those ands and ors are very useful to us as computer programmers and nots like this. Like we've been using it throughout the quarter, but when we actually compare the binary bits like you were talking about, yeah, then we start kind of going away. Unless we, as computer programmers, they say, hey, make this engineering problem for us. Then sure, this is good to know, but it's not like, and it's very simple to know. Like it's just compare true and false. Can think of true as one and compare zero as false. That's computer science is very important. Is if I compare two true statements, if I have an and, I want it to be a true. There's different scenarios, but good question, great question. Does anyone else have any questions about anything that they're missing or anything about their computer science journey, futures stuff, today stuff, class stuff, homework stuff, past module stuff, stuff? This one is just a complete, this class is just completely for our purposes. Why can I just put this over here actually? Why haven't I been doing this the whole time? I should have just been, I just realized I could have put the cameras on my other monitor instead of on the main screen. Took me 12 weeks to figure that one out, huh? Good job, Kayvon. While you guys do that, I guess I can go over, I think most people were able to get, I think module 5, most people didn't get to module 5 yet, so I can go over this on list. This would be kind of a good review. But if you have any questions, where did I put it? Oh, I put it over here. Okay, perfect. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your hand up, ask a question in chat. I am looking at chat. On the last class, I figured it out. I know, right? What a shame by me. But if you have any questions, feel free to let it out now. Oh, oops. I was thinking of a different homework assignment. 3.4.1.13. Okay, sweet. Basically the list and the Beatles. So in this homework, right, we're just going to say create an empty list named Beatles. So like this is a good way of doing this is that we have all these step 1, step 2, step 3, 4, 5. So in step 1, we're going to create an empty list called the Beatles. So Beatles equals empty list, right? This is how we create an empty list. So let's see. Beatles equals empty list. And if I got rid of this, what would happen? Would our code work or would it crash? It would crash because it has no idea what the heck the Beatles are, right? How could our computer not know who the Beatles are? Oops, and I just did it again. Okay, so we get rid of that. So Beatles equals empty list. Now let's go to step 2. Use the append method to add the following members of the band to the list: John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and George Harrison. And this is kind of why I wanted to say some of these last assignments were not that hard. I put this on the assignment because a lot of it is just very simple steps. Like this one is only 5 steps, and I'm about to go over the steps with you guys. And then the last homework assignment, and that's like assignment 6 is also similar to this. And assignment 7 is, well, actually there are some additional things here. This one should be pretty simple. You're using commands that we've already given you, inbuilt commands like the sort command. There's even a reverse command. You can use that negative numbers I was telling you about. This one, very simple again. This is just using the in operator. I don't want to give away too many answers, but it's pretty simple. Just make a list of A-E-I-O-U's and then just say if something is in A-E-I-O-U, if it comes out true, then it's a vowel. If it's not, it comes out a constant. So whichever way you want to read it. But let's go back to this. And then the last assignment is like manually made. That one I give you hard-coded material, and then you just do the exact same thing where it's kind of like just a couple operations on it with a dictionary and a list, I believe. I forgot what the first one was. Was it a tuple? Might have been a tuple, but just kind of like hand-drawn stuff. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. I do not want you guys to think you're waiting on me to finish something up. This is all just review. So this is a review on list. So in this case, Beatles equals empty list. So then we're going to use the append method to add the following members of the band to the list: John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, right? We got the three big names of it. We're missing, I think we're missing Ringo, right? Yeah, Ringo Starr, that's at the end. That's step 5. We forgot about Ringo. So here I'm just going to say Beatles dot append, right? Use that keyword. And I'm going to say John. Oops. Oh my goodness, I cannot type John Lennon. So this, and then we'll copy and paste this. We'll do it 3 times because we want to add Paul McCartney. And if I misspell it, you know what? You live and let die, as the Beatles actually said, right? You live and let die. Live and let die. Yeah, that's the Beatles one. Good song if anyone knows that Beatles song, Live and Let Die. John is one of the hardest words to spell. It is incredibly hard to spell. So now when we do our print 2, this is kind of nice how they format it, right? At first, it's an empty list. Step 1, empty list. Now on step 2, I like the way that this is like one of my favorite lab activities, just the way the steps are listed for you. And this is a good coding practice. This is a fantastic coding practice. And it's something that I wish I implement myself as a coding practice, is taking it step by step, right? Each step will build into another step. And that's how you just keep going down the list of what you need to do, right? So you have step 1 is make an empty list. Step 2, append that list and add the Beatles into it. Now, what would be a cool thing is, can we actually save some time instead of doing all these command functions? Can I put them all together as one? Just wondering, does anyone think I can? Like put some commas in here?
Yes, you
Sure.
can.
You think I can? Okay, let's see it. And let's see, now I should have a humongous list. Uh-oh, did I make a mistake? Or am I just not allowed to? Oh, I spelled the Beatles wrong, see? Oh wait, and I can't see anything though. Uh-oh, Beatles.append. Append takes exactly 1 argument, 3 given. So it turns out we can't do it like that. So Beatles.append will only add 1 list to the argument. It's good to know, actually. I didn't actually know it. That's the cool thing about computer science. I don't really know most of the things that I do. I mean, okay, I won't say that. That sounds terrible. I do know what I'm doing. But there's a lot of things where you'll forget steps. But because we have a computer in front of us, just experiment. You lose nothing by testing things out. That's the one thing I've noticed. Like I try to teach others, and this was something that I needed help with in the beginning as well, which is when I first learned coding, I was too scared to run bad code. And now, being so like, 6 years coding, just fail. I mean, okay, there's times where you don't want to fail, but you guys are not there yet. I did say it on recording. I don't know what I'm doing. But there are times where later on in your career, I've heard of nightmare stories where, like, if you're working with like Amazon database, they'll charge you actually for how long you're on their database. So if you actually code something wrong, there's a chance you could cost your company $30,000, which I actually did here. They did. It was for like an academic purpose, but they talked it over with Amazon and got things fixed for their research. But it was funny, right? Is that you guys are not there yet. So do not worry about losing $30,000. You would have to go work with Amazon and like work on their database system and like do expensive queries. Where in this case, we're just doing simple codes. So do not feel any fear or pressure to mess up, like in this case, right? We found out we can't take 3 arguments. We can only do 1 at a time. So we just do that. And then we go to step 3, use the for loop and the append method to prompt the user to add the following members to the list: Stu Sutcliffe and Pete Best. So we're going to say, they say use the for loop. So for loop. So let's say for I in range of 2. All right. And then let's say, so let's say, yeah, say 2. 2 works. And then we'll say, add the members to the list. Oh, this is where we ask the users to ask them for the list. Just this one was a weird one. I was like, why do they ask us for this? So let's just say input. What is add Stu and Pete at stud? Does someone have a question? Oh, I thought I heard something. All right, never mind. So we're gonna add Stu and Pete, and then we're gonna say x equals input put Pete, and then we'll say Beatles dot append x, right? So we can add this. This would have been a better way to probably do the John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, but that would involve the user putting in these people, right? Stu and Pete were never band members, right? Right? I don't actually know if they were band members, but I don't. They're not the famous four Beatles people. They might have actually been a part of the Beatles, but just left. So in here we have add Stu and Pete, and then I'm going to say Stu. I made a mistake in the way I typed things out, and then Pete, and then we have Stu, Pete, right? We have these guys add to the list. Let's put a colon here. So for I in range of 2. So if I said 0, 2, right? Would this make a difference? Would this make a difference compared to 2 or 0, 2?
No, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Let's see it. Oh wait, let me restart this again so that it looks nice and pretty. And Stu, Pete. Exact same thing, right? Exactly, Mario, right? So we have 0, it goes from 0 and it goes up to 2. And the keyword, again, if you are taking the exam, and just in general, programmers, whenever they do it, they always start from 0. In most cases, we could have done 1 and 2 if we wanted to, but we're programmers. We start from 0, because if you take it like this, the program will start with 0 manually. So it'll go 0, 1. But if we do 0, we're just manually typing in everything. And again, it starts from 0 and it goes up to 2, up to 2. Doesn't hit 2, but up to 2. So it goes 0 and 1. It doesn't do 0, 1, and 2. It just does 0, 1. If we did a 3, then we would have a problem, right? So I hate this. That's the one thing I hate about Netacad. Just let me, I don't want to see my old answer there. Pete. And then they're going to ask me again, and I'm going to say, me, question mark? And then we have me, question mark, right? So exactly right. So 0 up to 3 means we add 3 people, because it's 0, 1, 2. Not 1, 2, 3, but 0, 1, 2. And if we did it with this, it's going to be the exact same thing as 0, 1, 2. Yeah, exactly right. It always starts from 0, and it's a string. It takes some time to get used to it. I hope none of you guys do. I think there are some languages, very niche language. I think MATLAB does start from 1, and I'm like, that's weird. And it's weird to me because that makes sense, right? It makes sense to start from 1, but as computer programs, we always start with 0. The people who, it's funny how there are things where someone will do in the past and it will affect you to the day, like forever. There are, like, I believe I read a cool paper this last quarter at UCSD on the most expensive mistake, which was, I think you guys want to look it up, but it's about how, oh, what was it about? Oh, I remember what it was. It was about like the way that C++ ends sentences, or the creators of C decided to end programming sentences. They could have used like a flag or something. They used an extra bit or something. I forgot exactly what it was about, which is bad on me that I forgot. But it was a really cool paper, because these creators who just decided, oh, let's end each like line with this bit to signify that it's the end of the line. What happened was there was other uses that they could have done. They could have done like different utilizations, different ways to end a sentence that were already in mainstream, but they decided to use this different way that they thought of. And that way that they've done it is now the way everyone in the world does it, pretty much, in coding. But it turns out it's one of the most expensive mistakes, because it's not very efficient, or they could have saved on so much efficiency and optimization by not doing that. But now it's a general practice to have like this weird bit to signify the end of a sentence. So it was kind of cool. I know I'm like nerding out, but it was kind of cool to see that someone who created like C, the C language, made such a like super small mistake, but led to humongous ramifications in the future that were not good. But it's still used today. Not good, but it could have been way, way better. And it's funny how it just happened because these people were like, let's just end it like this. Let's just do this simple small step. And that simple thing that they thought of wasn't good at all. But that's just me going, having some fun with it. So that was step 3. I think I put step 3 in this area. Let's put this. Step 3. There you go. And that's the Beatles. When it comes to murders. Crystal, I mean, that's a good stuff to nerd out over, to be honest. I was about to say that was everyone's got something that they nerd out about. I don't know why I nerd over computer science stuff, to be honest. That murder mysteries are way more fun to nerd out over. Use the delete instruction to remove Stu Stuckcliffe and Pete Best from the list. So we have our del keyword that's not in all caps. So in order to do this, I can do it in different ways. I can do it based off their index. I can do it based off, I can actually put the title in there, but the best way to probably do this and most easiest for us at this point is take the list item, and we know Stu and Pete is going to be at item 3 and item 4. Do you guys think this is going to work? I know I'm asking this question, it's kind of pointed. Should probably mean something if I'm asking this question. Do you think this was going to work, and why not? If you say it's not going to work. If you think it is going to work, then not in that order. Okay, so Brandon says it's not in the correct order. Why is it not in that order, Brandon? What's going wrong with this? Because if I say run this, that's Stu and Pete. Hey, Stu. Hey, Pete. Oh, we crash out. And it's with that order. You're right. It's Del Beatles of 4. But we added 2 lists, right? Is it because I started from 0? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, Pete is right. Pete is number 4. If position 3 is deleted before position 4 won't exist. Exactly, Brandon, right? So if we delete 3, then 4 is not going to exist. It's going to become 3. Because when we delete something, our list is going to go short. It's kind of like, I don't know, one of those towers, right? Where it's like, if you have a tower of items, if you chop the first item on the list or the bottom item on the list, let's just say pretend that the gravity won't fall over, everything else will shrink down by 1, right? Everything will move down 1 item. So the purposes of this is that this thing won't exist. So I could do it as Del Beatles 3, 3. This would work. Nope. Stu, Pete, Stu and Eat. Stu and Eat, then we were able to delete those 2 guys just by doing that. There's another way you could do it. Would you have something to say, Mario?
Yeah, I was going to say -1, right?
You could say -1, or you could have just done different orders. Both ways work, right? So you could have done 3, -1. But in your case, I see what you're saying now, actually. So you're saying
-1 on both.
Like this. That's really smart. I actually didn't think about this. That's a really good way. So using the last index item, this is probably the most efficient way to do it. Oops. I did the wrong. I shouldn't have done this. My bad. I put the colon in. That deletes everything up to -1. So I deleted everyone except for Pete. Let's bring back our good friends Stu and Pete. And exactly what Mario said. This is actually the most efficient way. And I like the way that you actually brought this up. I didn't think about this. If you use -1, you can just use the last item in the list. Instead of using manual numbers of 4 and 3, -1 will always be the last element. 0 will always be your first element. That's something Python has that other languages don't. So if you ever learn a new computer science language, again, it's not very hard because they're very similar. It's just different like rules, not rules, different syntaxes and different, I want to say different ways you write the code, like different formations, but it's still incredibly similar. So, but in other languages, they don't have this -1, but in here they do have the -1. So in this case, we have -1. So great job, Mario, bringing that up. So if anyone ever wants to use it, -1 is the last item on the list, -2 is the second to last item, -3 is the third, yada, yada, yada. So great introduction to that. So that exactly does that. Then let's go to step 5. Use the insert method to add Ringo Starr. So now we're going to insert. So Beatles dot insert. And let's add our good friend Ringo. Ringo. That's my horrible Beatles accent. Hopefully no one here is British and is getting mad at me for doing a terrible Ringo Starr. Oh, insert Ringo Starr. What did I do wrong? It takes exactly 2 arguments. So I know I gave it 1 argument. What's the second argument, if anyone knows it?
It's position.
Position, right? Exactly, Dogpin, right? So let's put it, where do we want to put this at? Doesn't really matter, but as long as it's inside the loop, so, or inside the function, let's make Ringo the front man. You know, everyone always gives it to John Lennon and Paul McCartney. Let's make Ringo be the first one. So we do that. We're gonna get Stu, Pete, and we're gonna get a really weird thing. And we're gonna get a weird thing here. Beatles.insert Ringo Starr at comma 0. Let me go back down again so I don't have to see that. Why did this not work? Anyone have an idea? Should have worked. We gave it 2 arguments this time.
Don't you put the 0 first and then comma and then the
Exactly, right? That's positioning, incredibly important. If we knew the variables, we can actually make it 0. We could, like, if we created our own function, we could actually go out of order, but we would have to define the order. We would have to say index equals 0, name equals Ringo Starr. But because we don't know that, we have to follow the order that's given to us, which is position 1 or position first and then the name, thus leading to Stu, Sut and Pete. They're different characters now. Ringo Starr, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, John Lennon, George Harrison. Print the Fab 4, right? So we just solved the first part of your guys' homework assignment on assignment 5. So that's one of the ways of doing that with list. So that pretty much solved up the whole code. And I can go over assignment 7. I kind of want to let you guys do this one again, not too crazy. It looks long, but again, assignment 7 is just, you may hard code the following. So you literally can just copy this and put this into your code. And then just test, in this case, we want to say test something. We're going to say enter color red. If you have red in it, right, just go look at the old videos or look at the Python Metacad on dictionaries. Say if red exists in our dictionary or in our keys, whatever you want to call it, print out this. If it doesn't, print out blue is an invalid color. Same thing again for the second part, which is you can hard code this one. You can, inside the function, create 3 dictionary variables. So we're going to create this, and we're going to create this with this one. And these are very famous people. Hopefully you guys can take it, learn these people, these instructors at some point in your life. Alan Turing, famous Turing machine. If any of you guys ever watched Imitation Game, I believe it was about Alan Turing's life and like how he broke the Nazis' encryption and like actually actively found out how they were sending messages and was able to decode all their messages. And he's pretty much the first inventor of like the modern day computer. Ada Lovelace, can't exactly remember what she did. She did something very important. Was she the first computer programmer? I believe.
Yes.
First computer programmer.
First woman computer programmer.
Oh, I thought she was the first computer programmer in general. That's a good thing to look up. I might look that up. I think she was the first in general. I'm going to look that up right now. But if anyone has any questions, please ask right now while I look up Ada Lovelace. Okay, there's too much stuff on her, but we'll get to it. Wrote the first, she wrote the first computer program in the world. That's what it was. So she did do it. So Ada Lovelace, very famous. Carol Shaw, I've actually never read about. Does anyone know what Carol Shaw did? This is very good stuff. We're trying to create a feeder course, I believe. Carol Shaw. Oh, wow. Oh, this is very recent. She's one of the first female game designers and programmers in the video game industry. She's best known for creating the Atari 2600. Very cool. I did not know that. I stole this assignment if you guys don't know. This assignment came from this actually came from a college, actually. That's why you see these college courses here. But it was very good. So these are just very cool people to learn about. There's more people, Charles Babbage, the list goes on and on. But I believe Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, those are always the most famous usernames or internet characters. So we have our colors, red, enter course number, details for the course, yada, yada, yada. And then here, it's again, just a simple test of type in a course. If I type in CIT 137, I want to get the instructions about it. If I type something that isn't CIT 137, I want nothing to be printed. Again, it's just a simple in character that you can use. And it should, very simple, just use in. These key characters or whatever way you want to search things up shouldn't be too hard. Python has inbuilt functionality for this. Homework 6, module 4, I'll go over for a little bit again before class ends. 4.3.1.10, I believe. But again, if you have any questions for right now, this is the last time you guys are going to see me on live camera. Well, maybe, I don't know, but this is the only time you're going to see me for this class. So in this case, right, we have define liters, 100 kilometers to miles gallon. Oh, Mario has a question. Sweet. Mario, what's your question?
So just FYI, you know that they also give you the tip and they can give you the whole program, right? In here.
They can give you the whole tape?
Basically, if you click on the bottom right bulb, that gives you the tip. A hint.
Yeah, that's
just FYI, somebody gets stuck.
Oh yeah, no, perfect. I was about to say that's actually, let me go back. Get rid of this. But yeah, no, great actually saying that you said that, Mario. I should have actually said that earlier, I believe. That would have been good. I don't mind anyone seeing the answers or seeing tips and hints on this, but thanks again for the help for that, Mario. So light bulb at the bottom right gives you tips and hints. Tips and hints for how to do this. Most of these things are also, dare I say it, Googleable. Actually, let's keep the tips on here. I'd rather just show it to you guys instead of trying to run it through, because these are just all functionality. So I don't believe they actually give it to us. Oh, they do give it to us, 1 American mile. Okay, perfect. So I don't have to go look it up. So in this case, this is just basic conversion, right? You guys all know how to convert things. So all we have to do is just convert it in there. And again, if you ever need help with working on these things, again, your assignment, this is why I kept saying that the assignments were very easy, is that these are very public source. The assignment that I created for assignment 7, not so much public source, but still not too hard. That's why like assignments 4, 5, and 6 aren't too crazy hard, I believe. But here, gallons equals liters divided by this. So we're going to take our gallons to liters. Or not, my bad. We're going to take our liters, make it to gallons, which is our American system. Liters is, what is it called? Metric system. Jeez.
Everywhere else.
Everywhere else. Yeah, exactly. The everywhere else system. And then we take our gallons and we can convert that. Oh, we keep our gallons. We'll take our miles and convert it to here. So that when we divide miles divided by gallons, we have our miles, I think, right? Our full miles. And this should be in miles. Oh, my bad, miles per gallon. Oops, this returns miles per gallon. So miles, gallons. And the same exact thing, the opposite direction. Yeah, the everywhere else is good. And then we just take our kilometers. Simple, it's a little bit wordy to look at, but it's very simple once you get the hang of it. It's just converting. If you can, the best way to do it is usually the way I do it is either I Google up how to convert it or learn how to convert it. And then once you learn how to convert it, converting it in program is the easiest part of it. We have 10 more minutes in this class. Does anyone have any other questions? Because if not, I'll probably just chill here for a little bit and you guys can probably head on, you guys can leave. But if you guys don't have any other review questions, I wish you guys the best of luck with your exam if you do take the PSEP exam, or the rest of this course, or the rest of your computing journey, whatever it may be. Feel free to always email me at kayvon@nvef.org. I put that on Netacad. I hope that will be active that should be active for a while, I believe. So if you guys have any questions or anything you guys want to talk about your computer science journeys, feel free to always hit that email up, and I'll be very happy to actually to see what your guys' progress is in computer science. But does anyone have any review questions for the next 10 minutes? Or any questions about future stuff? It doesn't have to even be completely pertaining to this class. Any AMAs? Or not AMAs, let's ask me anything. Anything about the field of computer science that you're interested in? Are you guys interested in game developing? I guess that would be a decent question to ask is, I mean, you don't have to answer this. You can put this in chat or you can tell me on camera, but if you guys want to put in chat or wherever you see, where do you guys see yourself using Python programming or computer science? Or where do you see yourself, like, do you have anything that you are trying to become in the future and want to and I can tell you if you need to apply computer science or whatever you feel like, are you interested in game developing? Web and finance. Okay, Mario's in web and finance. This is perfect for web and finance is Python. Python is probably one of the biggest data aggregate data science things in the world, and web sort of used with Python. I believe it's like other things used with Python for web developing, but finance very important with it. It will make your life easy with finance.
Can I mention one thing? So I'm taking the class at Diablo Valley College, and it's about web programming. So it's kind of interesting because they give you the interface, right? Like the CGI interface, and basically the programs that we do here is just writing a little bit more lines so that you have a web interface, right? To input, and so it's interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
My surprise is that I do have a site that I can play around with, but they don't. In the class, they said that everybody's going Python for web, but the site that I have access to doesn't support Python. Well, Yahoo Small Business doesn't support Python. So I was surprised about that, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's the thing about computing is that there's so many times where it's like things like that, where it's like Python's probably the biggest language probably in the world, I think, right now, or one of the biggest. So it's really surprising to see like languages, like companies that don't have that support or websites that don't have that support. But usually they have support with another language. And then usually whenever you go and learn that language, it's like, oh, this is kind of eerily similar to Python or whatever they do. Unless they go really old school, then you're in for it, because then you have to learn old concepts or old syntax for really easy things. Again, it won't be too much work, but you hope that it's not the old school programming. I want to do this for fun and to just have something to show for it. Yeah, this is a good thing to just do for fun. I mean, this, like, I say this is my whole career. I wanted to possibly become a botanist or a marine biologist. Well, I don't know about botanist, but marine biology, very important. I was slated to take a class on hacking the ocean, which was a marine biology computer science course at UCSD here. I didn't get to take it because I'll take it another quarter. But it's really cool, very easy stuff. But not easy stuff. I take that back. I don't know about easy, but there's so many things where you can even use this computer science stuff you learn in this class, and you can probably apply it to other places. For instance, bioinformatics is a new field, and it's one of like a biggest field in computer science, or not one of the newer fields in computer science, where it's like you can use computer science to find genes, detect things. I feel like the world everything is starting to build up to using computer science with everything. I think knowing computer science, like, again, I learned computer science my freshman year of college. So that was 5 years ago. I'm a first year master's student. So 5-6 years ago, I first learned computer science. So if you're thinking to yourself, it will take a long time to get to an advanced part of the computer science area. It does not. I guess you can just look at me. I'm 5 years. If you go 5 years in the future, just in computer science, you can be teaching it. You can be teaching your own course on computer science. But yeah, bioinformatics is a great big field. Bioengineering, marine biology. It's a lot of things. I think almost everything in the world is becoming computer science oriented. And then in the computer science world, everything is going machine learning oriented, which is like the computer just gets smarter and will do things for you. But that's the goal. You hope so. It's like they usually have like accuracy rates. They're not always 100% perfect, but that's the world right now. Is everything's going to computer science and then everything's going to machine learning. Does anyone else have anything that they want to? They're going to take over. Yeah, the robots will take over. That is very true. Does anyone have any other places that they hope to apply their computer science, or any hopes that where they go in the future, or any questions? The question stuff is still up for availability. If any of you guys want to ask any cool questions, are you interested in research? Are you interested in getting a degree in computer science, college, a job? I've worked cybersecurity, and again, if you don't have the time to ask the question, or if we don't get there, feel free to email me. Feel free to put it on the discussion board. Feel free to message me personally on there. Again, I gave you guys my email a lot of times, and it should be up on the most recent announcement too. So if you guys have anything that you guys want to talk about with that stuff, I would be very happy to help. And then also, if you guys do finish the exam, I will be sending you or not the exam, finish the course. I'll be sending you an email saying at some point this week, stating, I hope I have to talk to the upper heads and see that, what's going on for that. But I hope to be sending you an email saying, do you want to take the exam? Here's a free voucher to take said exam. And I don't believe there's specified dates. It's just slot out an hour for yourself in the day, take the exam, and then you're done. That's what I believe. I don't believe it's online. The upper heads, I don't know the upper heads. The people above me that give you guys the free vouchers. I'm not the one giving the free vouchers. The administration, I guess, is the better word to say. Makes it sound like it's like a mob boss, just like, yeah, the upper heads. The mob of academia. But if not, anyone have any other questions? If not, you guys I'll probably end the share. The higher ups is probably a better word. Thanks, Dogman. Yeah, probably higher ups other than upper heads. Yeah, it's funny how bad I am with words. But if you guys have any last questions, now, or say it now or forever hold your peace. That's like a wedding. I'll say if you object now. Again, I had a really great time teaching this course. This was my first course that I've taught solely by myself. I've done a lot of courses in conjunction with other people. So this was a lot of fun for me. I hope you guys had as much fun or learned a lot. It was a lot of fun teaching you guys, and hopefully you guys go down the future with this computer science knowledge and can apply it somewhere. Or just maybe you just go, you know what, that Kayvon guy had a nice class. Or that Kayvon guy, I'm so happy that 12-week course was over. I could not stand seeing him for one more week. All right, it's 3:59. I'm gonna end the share. And if you guys don't have, and let me